Ladies and gentlemen, hey, hi, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for stopping by. We just got some interesting new leaks and rumors in regards to the future of Warzone yet again, and some rather interesting delays that may be happening in a way that's not necessarily bad news. Typically you hear, oh, something is delayed and it's like, oh, it's not ready, you know, it was going to be rushed if they put it out. Generally a delay is not associated with fantastic news in most cases, but with this, just based off of the track record that's now been established, there could be some interesting things going on with Warzone in the next few seasons, it seems. First up, though, we have to start with an additional report from the Ghost of Hope, who actually expands on some details that we covered in a recent interview that Raven did with IGN. Of course, we just covered this in a video the other day where Raven Software sat down with IGN and said Verdansk is going to be staying in Warzone through at least the end of the year, with the quote, "So for the time being, Verdansk is sticking around, and this is just the beginning of the Verdansk 2025 journey, and then we'll see how things go from there." There's been a lot of various leaks and rumors out there talking about if Verdansk is going to be just like this sort of limited time thing, if it goes throughout Black Ops 6, but then it's fully gone when Black Ops 7 drops this fall, or if it's going to stay beyond that. We'd recently heard a little while back from the Ghost of Hope saying that Avalon and Verdansk couldn't really be on a map rotation because of limited tech with last gen, with Xbox One and PlayStation 4, and so Avalon just likely was not going to end up being a battle royale map, despite the fact that it was initially planned for this year and then pushed back later for next year, and now doesn't seem to be happening at all. Hope goes on and says, unless the map rotation tech that I've been hearing about magically comes at the end of this year, then it's looking like Verdansk is going to be the only big map for battle royale until at least 2026, and Avalon was scrapped, like I said before. Now, Hope did also report that Avalon could also be an alternative sort of outbreak map for zombies with Black Ops 7 instead, which would be interesting because that way, if you owned Black Ops 7 and say you're a PlayStation 4 user, you'd still have to download all of Avalon to play Black Ops 7 zombies and then all of Warzone to play Warzone. So you'd still have Avalon and you'd still have Verdansk on your same download. You just wouldn't be able to play them both in Battle Royale, which would be super, super weird. But according to Hope, the reason that we haven't had big map Battle Royale rotations where it's Verdansk and Al Mazrah or Avalon and Urzikstan or Avalon and Verdansk is because last gen is holding it back, and there's just issues going on there with file size and capacity and just optimization that's stopping that from happening. So the fact that they only talk about through the end of 2025 and then things are going to go from there opens up the door for an interesting situation. We're going to have to see if there's any potential updates or talk about map rotation tech and what's going on there as time goes on and we get more details officially on COD 2025 and on Black Ops 7. I would assume in a few months time as we get around like the Xbox showcases and the typical time for Call of Duty next. However, that's not the only new info that Hope has recently talked about. He also posted about an interesting delay, as I mentioned earlier, for the future of Warzone. And quick reminder as we do get into the details here, if you enjoy the video, you find the info helpful, a like rating is always seriously appreciated. And if you're new to the channel, or maybe you just have not subscribed yet, we should change that. This is the best place to be to stay up to date with everything going on in the world of Call of Duty on a daily basis. So feel free to hit that subscribe button and turn on those post notifications. But next up here, this is what Hope posted just recently, saying, new report. We're going to start to see some stuff that was meant for Season 3 Reloaded and beyond for Warzone getting pushed. Stuff that's been announced in the blogs and patch notes for Season 3 Reloaded is going to continue to be released, but some things in the pipeline are given more time to be perfected to ensure they keep the quality high. Activision and Raven both think that the game is in a very good spot, so they want to slow changes down and keep things in their back pocket in case they need to mix things up later. So this is a very interesting report. Obviously, the last time we saw a delay for Warzone was actually Season 3 and Verdansk. It was initially supposed to drop like 2.5 weeks earlier than it actually did, but just before it was originally intended to drop, Call of Duty put out a whole post saying, hey, we're going to push back Season 3. We want to make sure it is absolutely in a good spot when it launches. We don't have to worry about the typical seasonal launches and large updates in Warzone and in Call of Duty that usually are very, very problematic. Like if you go back, you look at all the integration updates, they've all had significant problems. Even this year with Black Ops 6, it had significant problems. So with them delaying Verdansk, everyone's like, okay, clearly there were issues going on. Is 2 weeks going to be enough to fix that? And while yes, the whole Warzone Verdansk return update in Season 3 was not flawless, like it definitely had bugs and glitches and there were some few hiccups here and there, it was also one of the smoothest launches we've seen in a long time here in Warzone. Like, that delay definitely did help them stabilize things, and that launch was way more successful than all of the other major launches that we've seen at all recently. So at least we have now a little bit of a track record to go off of when it comes to delays. But what's interesting here is that he specifies stuff that wasn't necessarily announced but was still relatively planned for Season 3 Reloaded. So for instance, things that have been announced in the blogs and patch notes, so things that we've covered in my Season 3 Reloaded preview video, whether it be some of the map updates like the opening of train stations, zip lines being added to certain buildings on the map, gameplay updates like ranked play or the new weapons, things of that nature. All of that stuff that's been on the roadmap or in the blogs, that'll all still be happening with Season 3 Reloaded, and we should be getting some official marketing and announcements and details on that here at some point in the near future. So of course, be on the lookout for that. I'll be keeping you guys informed with those details right as they happen. But then if there were other things they were planning on doing here in Season 3 Reloaded, whether it be some new LTMs or shaking up some gameplay mechanics to a certain extent, whether it be with movement a tad bit, reintroducing bunny hopping or adjusting something else elsewhere or adjusting more weapons, that may be held off and pushed back some to ensure that, one, it's going to go over well when it first launches. There's not going to be hiccups or issues or bugs or glitches when they introduce a new system like that, and it gives it more time to be refined. It's interesting that Call of Duty has kind of shifted this recently, both with the launch of Season 3 and Verdansk, and now whatever these unnamed features are and unnamed updates that were originally intended for Season 3 Reloaded, because prior to this, Call of Duty didn't really do delays. Like, you obviously see this as a huge thing in gaming right now, where delays for major titles happen constantly. It seems like every time a really hyped up game gets announced at whatever, Summer Games Fest or the equivalent of E3 or whatever it is, right? It's like, oh, okay, let's see if that first initial launch date that they talk about actually holds up, and it rarely does. So many large titles get delayed. Not Call of Duty though. They're always, we're launching this game in the fall, in October or November every year. We're launching Season 1 at the same time every year, the next season again and again and again. Call of Duty doesn't push things back. Call of Duty really doesn't delay things. They've always been very much so, we're putting it out regardless of its state. And that's, I think, why we've seen so many different updates drop. And it's like, wow, yeah, this doesn't work. Everything is bugged. Everything is glitched. This is borderline unplayable. Then what do you know? They take it a bit more serious with an update as significant as the return of Verdansk was. They push it back and it launches in a way better state than what we're used to seeing with large updates like this, and now could sort of be repeating here with some of these new features and new updates that we don't really have details on, which is interesting. Like, we don't know what some of these things that were originally meant for Season 3 Reloaded were, because they haven't talked about them in blogs or updates and whatnot there. It's just what we have based off the patch notes in the previous blogs from the start of the season that already confirm the few specific things happening. So we're gonna have to keep our eye out. I imagine as Season 3 Reloaded does go live and we get that full new major title update, some of the game files that are data mined and leaked from that update probably are going to end up referencing some of the stuff that was originally meant for Season 3 Reloaded that got pushed back. So we might have a much greater understanding of what to expect there when that time comes. And again, once we have information there, once we have new details, I'll keep you guys in the know. So stay tuned for that alongside everything else going on in the world of Call of Duty, simply by hitting that subscribe button and helping us get one step closer to 1 million subs. And if you enjoyed this video, a like rating on your way out is always really appreciated. But that is going to wrap things up. Once again, thank you so much for tuning in. And until next time, take it easy, have an awesome rest of your day, and I'll catch you later. Peace out.